Hi, I'm Ray Fox with 3D O&P, and I'm hoping that this video is going to bring you some clarity about the enormous and ever-expanding field of 3D printing. But before we can get into the different types of 3D printing, let's explore the most obvious issue that I come across, which is perception. I've chosen this graphic, and in this day and time of political correctness, hope that it won't offend anybody, but the upper panel is represented by an off and on switch, just two choices. The lower panel, on the other hand, has many dials and variables to consider. Now, I didn't come up with this graphic, but whoever did intended it to represent the human male and the human female. So your question to me now is, what does this have to do with 3D printing? Well, the perception of the public is that you just buy a 3D printer and just start printing things, just that easy, off and on. The actual reality is that there's probably more variations in 3D printing than there are dials and combinations on this graphic. So now that we've addressed the public's lack of knowledge of 3D printing, let's explore the other side of the spectrum. The super educated about 3D printing, they know everything about it. But what's their knowledge of you? And what do they bring to the table for our field? Well, I found myself in a meeting with Hewlett-Packard because I was trying to buy a Hewlett-Packard 5200, and there was a $500,000 reasons why I didn't buy one, and they're called dollars. And in this meeting, there was an executive from Hewlett-Packard that wondered why the orthotic prosthetic field wouldn't get on board with their printing expertise. So I posed a question to them. Do you know what a diagnostic socket is? None of them had any idea that we had these sockets that we just fit and throw away. And then I let them know that there may be 2, 3, and with some companies even 4 diagnostic sockets done for every one that we could possibly have printed with their expensive printer. You see, because of the nature of a throwaway socket, we need them produced quickly, clear, and inexpensively. They don't have a remedy for you, but we do at 3D O&P. And besides, it's going to take a long time before 3D printing can produce a definitive socket that replaces our braided carbon sockets we make today.
Simplify. Dragonfly, you fly away on this beautiful summer's day.
They can produce a strong definitive socket, but it looks gray and drab like this. Even if the 5200 was affordable, the build height doesn't come close to some of the things that we need to print in orthotics and prosthetics. So don't feel bad if you don't know what you think that you need to know about 3D printing, because those that do may not have a remedy for you. Well, about all I've clarified to this point is that people that don't know anything about 3D printing and those that know everything about 3D printing have something in common. They don't know you and the orthotic prosthetic field very well. And just like the dials on that lower panel that I alluded to at the start of this video, there are many types of 3D printing. Between liquids, powders, filaments, sheets, welding, sintering, there's so much confusion about just exactly how to enter the 3D printing world. Let 3D O&P guide you through this. The sweet spot for lower extremity prosthetics is diagnostics, and there's no way to produce them quicker or more inexpensively than with fused deposit modeling using filament. Another source of confusion is the way that people in our field are being taught to manufacture with 3D printing means that were designed for crafting. Let me share this analogy with you, maybe it'll clear it up. A young girl goes to her mother and says, "Mother, when you cook ham, it tastes better than anyone else's. What's your secret?" She said, "Well, I always took the ham and cut it in two and cooked it in 2 separate pans." "Well, where'd you learn that?" She said, "Well, I learned it from my mother." So she goes to her grandmother. Basically gets the same story. "I learned that from my mother." So she goes to her great-grandmother. "Great-grandmother, how did you figure out that ham tastes better when you cook it in 2 pans after you cut it in half?" She said, "Honey, that has nothing to do with it." She said, "We were so poor back then that I didn't have the money to buy a big enough pan to cook them in. So I cut it in half and cooked it in 2 pans." Just like in this analogy, there's things that are being done in the 3D printing world that are done mindlessly and handed down from generation to generation that are incorrect and they don't apply. So let's see where we fit in the 3D printing world. Let's start by talking about conventional printing. This is denoted by using a small nozzle and an infill. It's suitable for upper extremity and crafts, but we don't craft. We don't build toys. We manufacture. We make large items that are predominantly printed with a perimeter method like vase mode printing. So the temperature, settings, speeds, everything is different. We don't use small rolls of filament, we use gigantic ones because we've got a big job to do. Now let's talk about bed leveling and bed mapping, to be specific. If you're engaged in conventional printing and need a surface that looks like this, your bed needs to be level and the surface probably needs to be mapped. But if you're printing sockets and your printer's going through a bed mapping routine every time, you're wasting your time. We print perimeters and we do it with gigantic nozzles. Here's a depiction of a 0.4 millimeter nozzle generally used in conventional printing, up to a 2 millimeter nozzle, which is a cannon barrel in comparison. Note the proximity of the 0.4 millimeter nozzle with the bed versus the 2 millimeter. It's pretty rare when a print won't recover with a 2 millimeter nozzle. Let's talk about bed heating. This is another ham that gets cut in half all of the time. We print sometimes very long and narrow devices like this Symes posterior mount diagnostic socket. The issue is that hundreds of millimeters above the build plate, the nozzle causes drag, and this drag can cause your print to catastrophically fail if you're not firmly connected to the bed. We promote the use of contact cement in the form of 90 spray from 3M, and we use no bed heat. The heat from the plastic from the nozzle rejuvenates the glue, and your part is firmly glued to the bed. As a matter of fact, we have to use heat to remove the part, and that should tell you everything. Some think this is excessive, and you can experiment if you want to, but for me, when I hit print at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I want to make sure that there's a socket there in the morning. Now this next topic is really just a common sense issue. Every lab needs multiple printers if you're going to be in 3D printing. Look at all the sockets and devices in this picture. At 3D our average cost of a printer is around $3,000, not over $20,000. How many of these printers would you have at that price? If you're committed to the 3D pathway, as a rule of thumb, we suggest one technician to one printer. I have twice that ratio in my practice, and all 8 of my printers are going all of the time, with a medium-sized practice. And for that commitment, I enjoy diagnostic sockets under $30 and custom foot orthotics for around $10. For diagnostic sockets, post-processing is still necessary. We have been 3D printing our lower extremity prosthetics for 5 years now, and for the bulk of that time we've used polypropylene. To do that, we have to pour the mold with alginate, vacuum form polypropylene on it quickly, and then quench it so as not to deform the 3D plastic print. This is still a viable system, but we wanted a process that required no heat and therefore no deformation of the 3D plastic print. This led us to develop the UV Cure Rapid Wrap system. The Rapid Wraps come pre-rolled with UV Cure resin already impregnated. They also have a 4-hole attachment integrated into the roll. The wrap is taken out of the bag, rolled onto the socket with a PVA bag, and strung, and then UV Cure light sets it up in under 10 minutes. Wrapping the diagnostic socket with cast tape has been a staple for many years. But the Rapid Wrap system is much stronger because the attachment plate is incorporated in the roll. But the question comes down to, how do you want to be represented? At 3D O&P, we have our eye on the future. We know that one of these days, everything that we do is going to be done by 3D printing. And we're humbled by that. We don't know everything there is to know about 3D printing, but we do know what the sweet spot for orthotics and prosthetics is, because it's a method that has developed out of my practice for the last 5 years. We're going to teach you how to fabricate more cleanly and inexpensively, from custom foot orthotics to silicone liner molds that are multi-part to swim fins or anything else you can dream up you can have in your hand the next day. We invite you to our website to see our links of instructional modification videos using Mesh Mixer, but we sincerely invite you to our Prescott, Arizona 5-day course that offers a certificate of proficiency in 3D printing. You will learn everything there is to know to get started in 3D printing and leave confident. We want to thank you for your time. Come see us.